In 2012, my then 3-year-old daughter Ava underwent surgery to have a feeding tube placed. Due to complications with cystic fibrosis, Ava's weight gain had flatlined for about a year and a half, and all other methods to help her gain weight had failed. She began taking a very calorically dense formula each night in her feeding tube. As time went on, her appetite steadily began to decrease until she was content to rely solely on her feeding tube. We had a one-bite rule at meal times, and she detested eating so much that she would sometimes sit with that one bite of food in her mouth for several hours at a time before being able to swallow. As my husband and I pondered about what we could do to help Ava have a better relationship with food, I couldn't help but wonder if her current formula had anything to do with how she was feeling. Not only was Ava's appetite non-existent, but she constantly complained of an upset tummy, and she had much less energy than an average 3-year-old. The formula had done its job. Ava had gained weight, but I couldn't help feeling uneasy about her diet being made up of almost entirely synthetic food. My thoughts turned to the word of wisdom, and I felt a strong desire to find a way to give her real whole foods as opposed to highly processed formula. Over the next few months, I was able to switch Ava's nightly feeding tube formula from this, she took about 4 cans of Pediasure, to this. So now we make a blender full of whole foods for her. That first night, I blended Ava shake with grapes, mango, spinach, whole milk, almonds, oats, cooked wheat berries, beets, avocado, olive oil, sweet potatoes, and strawberries. The very next day, we sat down to lunch, and while I was helping her siblings with their meal, I reminded Ava to take a bite of her food. I just assumed that she hadn't touched it yet. She astounded me by saying, "Mom, I've already had 6 bites." I looked over and my mouth dropped. She had really eaten half of her lunch already. We have continued to give Ava the so-called blended diet as opposed to a commercial formula over the last year or so, and her appetite is almost back to normal. Her energy levels have increased dramatically. She plays like a normal, nearly 5-year-old now, and she no longer complains of stomach aches on a regular basis. Nothing else in her routine has changed, so we can only conclude that the diet of whole rather than unprocessed foods has been the deciding factor in bringing about all of these amazing changes in Ava. I saw what an incredible impact Ava's new whole food diet had on her health and well-being, and I began to wonder if it would be worthwhile to begin the process of incorporating more whole foods into the rest of my family's diet as well. Now, it's common knowledge that whole foods are not always as tasty as their processed counterparts, but the positive impact on our health might just make up for anything lacking in the taste department. In section 89 of the Doctrine and Covenants, we're told by the Lord, the creator of our bodies, that we should use certain foods to properly care for them. The Lord encourages us to eat fruits and vegetables with prudence and thanksgiving. Meat is to be partaken of sparingly. Grains like wheat, rice, and oats are the staff of life. Not only does the Lord tell us what is good for our bodies, but he gives us several promises if we take care of them properly. He says, "We shall receive health in the navel, marrow in our bones, and we shall find wisdom and great treasures of knowledge, even hidden treasures. And we shall run and not be weary, and we shall walk and not faint." He concludes by saying, "And I, the Lord, give unto them a promise, that the destroying angel shall pass by them as the children of Israel and not slay them." Those are some pretty amazing promises. Whole foods are God's given foods that naturally occur on earth. They are filled with vitamins and minerals that our bodies need to stay healthy. The fats in whole foods are most commonly beneficial fats, as opposed to the damaging fats often found in processed foods. Whole foods are often full of fiber and nutrients that our bodies need in order to function optimally. Scientists are constantly discovering naturally occurring components in whole foods that benefit our bodies in ways that we hadn't even known before. So even though processed foods can have vitamins and minerals added to them, they're often missing these vital compounds that occur in food that the Lord has created for us. Processed foods are beginning to be connected with an array of diseases that plague our society today. Cancer, diabetes, and heart diseases are 3 of the most concerning connections. Processed foods are often low in fiber, high in hydrogenated fats, high in sugar, and full of preservatives and sodium. Grains, for example, are stripped of their highly nutritious bran, germ, and fiber in order to increase their shelf life and palatability. The loss of these key parts of the grain means that we lose valuable nutrients to help our bodies remain healthy and strong. Some feel that eating a diet that is mainly consisting of whole foods is too much work and not enough flavor. Here are some tips to help you overcome those doubts and improve your health as you replace some of the processed foods in your diet with nutrient-rich whole foods. Number 1, cook healthy grains and legumes in batches and freeze them in smaller portion size for later use. This can speed up prep time when you're making meals later on. Number 2, if you just can't kick your sweet tooth, find recipes for healthier sweet snacks, like melting dark chocolate and topping it with unsweetened coconut flakes and almond instead of eating candy. Begin adding whole wheat flour to your recipes instead of using all white flour. When you're cooking with rice, do 3/4 parts brown rice and 1/4 part white rice. When you transition to using whole grains as opposed to entirely the processed white flour and such, you want to start slowly so it's not a shock at first. In the morning, wash and cut fruits and vegetables so they're ready and on hand when you crave a snack. If you don't like to eat plain vegetables, find some recipes find some recipes for some good dips to go with them. Try to have a salad at least once a week. There are so many different recipes for vinaigrettes and dressings that you'll never get bored. Frozen fruits are often less expensive than fresh and can be used to make smoothies in the morning. This is an easy way to get a few quick servings of fruits and even vegetables each day. Also, you can make homemade granola bars or trail mix with whole food ingredients for breakfast and snacks as opposed to buying highly processed bars. These are just a few ideas to get you started on incorporating more whole foods in your diet. While I'm excited about eating more foods that God gave us to strengthen and energize our bodies, I do feel that we need to remember moderation in all things. Don't become so concerned over what you eat that you begin to obsess or lose some of the enjoyment in life. Just start slow and see if you can make some positive changes in your family's diet. Whole foods are what the Lord has intended for our bodies. Now it's up to us to take advantage of them.